Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Well, thank you very much. South Carolina, we've had a great relationship with South Carolina. Thank you very much. And I'm thrilled to be back in this beautiful state. We love this state. With thousands of hardworking, God-fearing American patriots. And thanks to proud citizens like you last month, we won Iowa by the largest margin in GOP history. We then went to a beautiful place, New Hampshire, with more votes. We won it with more votes than any candidate has ever gotten in the history of the New Hampshire primary. That's good. As you probably heard 2 days ago, we won everything in the Virgin Islands, a nice place, beautiful place. Would you like to go sometime? We'll all go together. Now we won everything in the Virgin Islands, and then we had a great night, day, month, year, decade in Nevada. We love Nevada. 99% in the Nevada caucuses. We even won the primary that we didn't participate in. We won the primary by 48 points, and we didn't participate in it. It was very good. I think I was known as not this name. No, we won the primary by a lot. We didn't have much competition, to be honest with you. But we got more votes than anybody in Nevada in the caucuses. We got more votes than anybody in the history of that. So far, we're breaking every record. And I have a feeling we're going to do that again, right, Henry, in South Carolina. We're going to do it again. I think so. We don't have much competition, I will take. Turned out we have a lot less competition than we thought. 14 days from now, each and every one of you is going to get out and vote and deliver a gigantic win right here in South Carolina. And this November, we're going to win the White House, and we're going to take back our country. We're going to take it back. Terrible. Terrible what's been happening. Early voting for South Carolina begins. The primary begins. You got to get out. We want to send a signal for November. We just want to send it. We want to win this thing so big. We want to send a signal because we have to take back. They are destroying our country. This man is destroying our country. So on Monday, go vote. Early voting, go vote. Let's not forget that this week we also had another massive victory that every conservative should celebrate. We crushed crooked Joe Biden's disastrous open borders bill. Crushed it. Mike Johnson did a very good job, and the whole group did a great job in Congress. We crushed it. We saved America from yet another horrific Biden betrayal, disaster. I don't think he knows what the hell he's doing anyway, so. I always say by the people that surround him, or by, sometimes I'll interchange, I'll say by Barack Hussein Obama. Barack Hussein. But every time I say that, the fake news, oh, that's a lot of fake news back there. The fake news. Every time I say it, anytime I want to have a little fun, Governor, we have fun sometimes, even though the country's going to hell, we have to have a little bit of fun. But every time I interchange Barack Hussein Obama, remember Rush Limbaugh? He'd go, Barack Hussein Obama. I wonder what he was getting at. But every time I do interchanging, we do a little interchanging, they say, he doesn't know who the president is. He thinks it's Barack Obama. I say, no, but I think Barack Obama has a lot to do with running the country right now, and we can't let that happen. He has a lot to do with it. The other day got caught. I do the imitation where Biden can't find his way off the stage, right? He can't find the stairs. Well, right there I got one, I have two, I got three, and I could jump off the back or off the front if we had to, right? And so I do the imitation. It's just fun. I say, this guy can't put two sentences together. He can't even find his way off the stage. And then I go, watch. I'll imitate him, and I go like this. You ever notice he always goes, He starts off good because he's pointing at the stairs, and then after that he's like, and then he turns around. And in Nevada, where we did so well, we had a wall in the back. We don't have a wall here. We have great people, as opposed to a wall. I like people better though, but we had a wall, and I walked back to the wall. Where are? And then I came back, and we had a great, and we did a very good speech. They said he was unable to find his way off the stage. You know why? Because they're among the most dishonest people you'll ever see. So what I do, you have to be very careful with sarcasm and having a lot of fun, because they don't like fun. They use it to your disadvantage. But I will say that I've never seen such spirit as we have right now. Never. You look outside. I mean, this is a big place and all, but I think you have 4 or 5 times the number of people outside. You can't get them in. Would anybody like to give up their place? No? No, Vernon? The answer is no. I just made a very short, you know, we have big screens outside. I made a little short speech, but we're going to have to come back and maybe use the airport, do something. But we got to get everybody. We got to get everybody out. But among other travesties, Biden's horrendous border plan would have allowed millions and millions. This is the worst border plan I've ever seen. You know, you don't need a bill or a plan. All you have to do as president say, shut the border, like I did. I said, shut the border. You don't need bills and plans. Would have allowed millions of illegal aliens a year flooding unchecked across our borders. Virtually unlimited number of illegals from countries such as Somalia, the Congo, Libya, Yemen, and Iran. A lot of people coming in from Iran, a lot of people coming from China, a lot of people coming from Russia. You know, it's interesting. They're coming from these places. Sadly, I don't want to say this to the women. I don't want to insult the women, but there are very few women coming in. They're almost all men, 18 to 25. That means fighting age. That's fighting age. So they have something planned, and we're not going to stand for it. They are destroying our country. This group of fascists, they're destroying our country. They talk about democracy. Biden is bad for democracy because he's grossly incompetent. That's why he's bad for democracy. He is bad for democracy Plus, he uses DOJ and FBI and everything he can to go after an opponent. And nothing has ever happened like that in this country. Now, it does happen in third world countries and banana republics, but so far it hasn't, but it's happened here. And I think it's reverberating against him. I looked at the polls. I think it's actually been very, it's hard to say it's good to be indicted, but it sure as hell has helped the polls, hasn't it? Because I've never had polls like that. No, he's bad for democracy, and it would have given him new authority, the bill would have given him new authority to grant mass asylum, which, by the way, Bird Brain loves mass asylum. There's nothing nice about her. I will never run against President Trump. He is a great president, the greatest president in my lifetime, which is actually quite a bit now. The greatest president in my lifetime, she said. I will never run against him. Then she comes over to see me at Mar-a-Lago. Sir, I will never run against you. She brought her husband. Where's her husband? Oh, he's away. He's away. What happened to her husband? What happened to her husband? Where is he? He's gone. He knew. He knew. But no, think of this. Think of this. I will never run against you, sir, but it's all over tape. We've got like 19 versions. The great Dan Scavino, he made 19 versions of it. I will never run against him. Will you run against him? I will never. A little while later, I'd like to announce my candidacy. We don't need people like this. And I'll tell you what, she did a job. She was fine. She was okay. But I didn't put her there because I wanted her there at the United Nations. That was up to me. I wanted to take your lieutenant governor, who's right here, and make him governor. That's what I wanted. And I wanted you to have Peggy as a first lady. Got the best first lady. So that's a lot of truth to that, too. Because this man, when I was campaigning, for a long time, I got along with her, made contributions to the governor. She'd always called contributions for years. And then I decided to run, and I said, one person I know I have is Nikki. I have Nikki Haley. Tricky Nikki. I have Haley. And so now I announce, and I call various people for endorsements. I don't think they mean much unless it's my endorsement, right, Henry? It doesn't mean much. And she didn't return my call. This is years ago. Then I call her again. Finally, she returns. No, I'm sorry. I'm with somebody else. I won't tell you who because it happens to be now a friend of mine. We've all unified and friends. But you know what? It's not China. No, it's not China. But I had a man who, at the time, I didn't know, the lieutenant governor believed in Donald Trump. He believed in me. And I had the lieutenant governor, and the governor had some other candidate. And Henry, we blew that field away like nothing, right? And he and Peggy, at 6 in the morning, I said, who the hell is the guy? I said, that guy is campaigning like hell, your lieutenant governor. And I wanted him because I felt he deserved it. We won. And I'll never forget my speech. I said, I would much rather have the lieutenant governor than the governor. This is after we won. And everyone understood exactly what I meant. But he became the governor, and you're one of the most popular governors and maybe the best governor in the whole country. Oh, he didn't expect to build up like that. He didn't think, he doesn't even care. He just wants to do his job. He's a great gentleman. That's a great couple. Thank you very much. And Peggy, thank you very much. Appreciate it. What Crooked Joe is doing to our border is a crime against this nation, but he will not get away with it. We're not going to allow these horrible offenses to take place. He'll be tried by the ballot box. You know that? He's going to be tried in, by, and for the ballot box in November. I have to say that, otherwise the fake news would say, oh, he was very threatening. Remember when Biden used to say, well, I'd like to take him behind the barn and punch him. If he ever punched me, it wouldn't last long. That's one wouldn't last. No, it's good. It wouldn't last long. 1, 2, 3 seconds. I'd go like this. That would be the end. That would be the end. I wouldn't have to be violent. No, but when he said it, the fake news said, oh, that's so cute. That's so nice. He said, He's threatening to hit the hell out of me, and they thought it was nice. Now, if I said I'd punch him in the face, he'd go down like a ton of lard. Remember that expression? A ton of lard. They'd say, he's a fascist. It's terrible what he said. You know, by the way, we have a group of a lot of women. You love North Carolina, right? Okay. We have a lot of, they followed me now. This is the 129th rally that they've attended. Could I ask them, even though it's North Carolina, it's close enough, right? We love North Carolina. Would you stand up, please? Look at these people. Look at these people. Beautiful women. You're not allowed to say that anymore, but I'll say it. You are not allowed to say beautiful women. That usually is the end of a career, but I'll say it. They're beautiful women. They're incredible women. They're smart. The only thing I don't understand, I see one husband. They're good. Their husbands are home 129 times. What the hell are they doing? What did they say? No, they're great people. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. That's support. And we were treated very well, as you know. You know Laura, she lives in North Carolina, and she named the baby with Eric, named the baby Carolina. No discrimination. I said, is that north or the south? They said, it's both. It's both. So she's great. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. As you probably know, 2 days ago, the Biden Department of Injustice let Crooked Joe off the hook for some of his very egregious crimes, including his brazen theft of classified documents long before he was ever president. He's been doing this for 50 years. I couldn't believe it. I remember a certain senator got up and said, no way he did that. No way. But he did it. He took them when he was a senator. You can't do it. Now, in my case, I'm covered by the Presidential Records Act. I'm allowed to do what I do. But he wasn't covered. He was a vice president, not covered, and he was a senator. But this is yet more proof that we have a weaponized two-tier system of justice in this country. Crooked Joe got off scot-free. Now, I don't know if you call it scot-free. They said he was a mental basket case. Okay, so I wouldn't say it's totally scot-free. In fact, I think maybe if I had my choice, I'd take the other. I'd go through a little process, but that's better than what happened. But they said he was a disaster mentally, and he willfully stole gigantic numbers of classified documents, willful. But because of his condition mentally, is this guy going to make it to the starting gate, seriously? Well, it shows you the power of incumbency, doesn't it? If that happens, it's sort of an incredible thing. But I've been saying no, but you never know. Be the first time I've been wrong in a long time, right? Trump was right about everything. We called every war. We called every single problem. And we would have never had any of those problems. We wouldn't have had Israel attacked. We wouldn't have had Ukraine and Russia fighting and killing everybody and blowing up their cities. And we wouldn't have had inflation because it was started by energy. It was started by oil, gasoline, which doubled, more than doubled. But these documents, stuffing them in his drawers, stashing them in crumpled boxes. And those boxes were heavily used. You know, when you look at those boxes, those suckers were in and out. A lot of people saw those documents. They didn't see the ones we had. We had them locked up, and we had Secret Service all the time because I was president all the time. And leaving them strewn all over the garage under his precious Corvette. You ever hear him talk about the Corvette? It's my Corvette. You can cut that garage door with the scissors. You know, flimsy is the word. You can take up scissors and just go like this. Those are the ones you buy for $139, right? The whole door. Not including the motor. On top of it all, Biden aides deleted incriminating evidence after the appointment of the special counsel. So I did behave with the special. I was very nice. I knew exactly what they were doing. It was election interference. I knew it exactly. As soon as I got even a call, this was election interference. I knew that. But we worked with them. We were going to give them whatever they needed. They came over to Mar-a-Lago. It was all very nice. In fact, I even treated them to lunch. I wasn't there, but I treated them to lunch. Obviously, I should have treated them to dinner. The lunch wasn't good enough, right? But I understood. But despite all of the facts, I was actually president and the president has tremendous powers of declassification authority, etc. We did everything right. Biden's thugs are still trying to put me in jail on fake charges for crimes that they openly admit that Crooked Joe did. He actually did these crimes. Now, I'm not looking for anything to happen to this guy. He wouldn't know the difference. I mean, I don't think he even knows the difference. She goes, we are. There'll be no revenge. No revenge. Does everybody agree? No revenge. No revenge. But this is selective political persecution, not prosecution, persecution. If there was one shred of honesty or decency left in the radical left Democrat Party, and there's not, but it's a radical left, they've gone so far off. Open borders, high interest rates, horrible what they're teaching your children in school. A woke military. We have a great military, but it's headed by woke people at the top. They're trying to change it. Not going to happen. We defeated ISIS in 4 weeks. Everyone said it would take 4 years. We did it in 4 weeks. We have a great military. But the Biden DOJ, the entire phony boxes hoax against your favorite president and me would be immediately dropped. Everybody says it. We had 3 or 4 legal scholars today say, well, that's the end of that case against Trump, because you can't have one guy get out and then another guy who did nothing wrong, He did tremendous wrong. And I'm not even asking, because if you look back, all presidents have taken a lot of stuff. I mean, that would mean every president, including Obama, Clinton, Bush, every one of them would right now be in the who's gal. That wouldn't look too good in history, would it? But we did everything right. He did everything wrong. And what they should do is that case should be dropped immediately by deranged Jack Smith. Did you ever hear of deranged Jack Smith? He's a prosecutor. He's prosecuted a lot of people, and he loses in the end because he goes too far. He's one of those guys. He goes so crazy. That's why we call him deranged. When I return to the White House, I will have no higher priority than cleaning up this rot and this corruption and restoring fair, equal, and impartial justice under the constitutional rule of law. The special counsel's report tries to let Biden off by claiming that he is too mentally incompetent to convict at a trial. But if Joe Biden is not fit to charge, they're not going to charge him with a crime, but it's okay for him to become commander-in-chief. Think of that one. Thank you, that one. All right, thank you very much. Just a little interlude. You know, that used to happen all the time. Now it doesn't happen too much. You know, I used to say to people, you go get them, you go get them. And then I got sued, so I said, what the hell? So now I say, please treat them kindly. This way I don't get sued. Please treat them kindly. They're lovely people. Go home to mom. But we know that Joe Biden has always been too mentally incompetent. Is he gone? I think he's gone. We don't have that. Remember, we used to have it all the time? And I used to get angry with the camera because they never show the crowd. They'll never show the crowd outside, which is many times the size of the crowd inside. They never do. But I used to get angry, and then I figured it must be the equipment. But I used to complain. They'd show me, my face, and a few of the people right back there, very attractive people. But they would never. It's true. But they would never show the crowd, and I'd complain, I'd call them up, I'd call Fox, would call everybody, would say, why aren't you showing the crowd? Because it's so impressive. And then I realized it's very expensive equipment. It's probably new, steel cable, steel bars, so you can't turn. And then we had a couple of incidents like that, and that equipment was able to turn like a pretzel. It was like over, around, down, under. They'd get chin shots. They got over the head shots. And then I realized it was just fake news. They don't like seeing crowds like this because it just happens. I mean, it's crazy. But this is far bigger than what we had. And this is 10 months out. I mean, this is far bigger than... Look, nobody had more spirit than we had in 2016 and 2020. Again, much more than 2016. Much more than 2016. Bad thing happened, bad things. But this blows both of them away. There's never been spirit. And the reason is, you like me. Do you ever see where they say, well, we have two people running. I love this, these people, we have two people running, and they're both extremely unpopular. I'm not unpopular. I'm 92% in the Republican Party. I'm not unpopular. I mean, brain dead. She's got, you know what she's got? Like 12%. She's got 12%. There was a poll came out today, 87 to like 9, and they're 3% undecided. 3%. No, we gotta win this thing. We have to win it big. We have to win, not against her. That's irrelevant. We have to win it. We have to set, that's why you have to vote. We have to set a signal out to the whole world that come November, it's going to be different. And the reason we have the spirit is because we see how bad they are. If you like me, I love you, I love you. I mean, we've never lost here. We've never lost here. We won our primaries. We won our general election. We don't lose in South Carolina. But you know, I'll tell you, we have to send out the signal that we're not playing games. In November, we're going to win. We're going to take it all back. And this is sending out the signal, just like in Iowa, just like in New Hampshire. Just like the Virgin Islands, you know, they said, oh, she worked hard on the Virgin Islands. You know what she got? Nothing. The real problem facing our country is not Joe Biden's decline. The real problem is that Joe Biden is causing America's decline. He's causing it. Who the hell would allow people to pour into our country? Who would allow this to happen? We built 561 miles of wall. We were ready to put up another 200, way over what I projected and said. We were going to put up another 200. Everything was done. It was all made. Fantastic people. Tom Homan, you know Tom Homan, the great Tom Homan? I think he's here someplace. Brandon Judd from Border Patrol. The people from ICE are represented. ICE, how about ICE? They walk into a pack of the toughest gangs. They just walk in. You don't see anything happening except fists are flying. And then 2 minutes later, you see them walk out carrying real thugs, dangerous people, people that kill young girls walking to school. They knife them. They use a knife, not a gun, because it's more painful. These are real bad people. And the job that ICE does, we took out thousands and thousands of MS-13, the toughest gang, right, Lieutenant Governor? The toughest gang in the world. We took out thousands of them. And ICE did it. ICE is very incredible, brave patriots, really, and they don't get treated with respect, just like our great police officers. They do not get treated with the kind of respect that they should get. In everything he does, crooked Joe Biden puts illegal aliens first. He puts Ukraine first. He puts China first. Well, he has to put China first. He gets paid off by China. The guy gets millions of dollars. He gets millions of dollars. Why the hell wouldn't he put him first? He's actually afraid because they'll reveal, because they know how much he really got. You know, Congress has done a good job, but it's many times, if they find that, it's a little bit like the border. When they say that so many people were screened, they don't talk about the millions of people that came through. They come through the border, millions of people, and nobody knows what's going on. What's happening there is so bad. But when you look at it, he puts all of these countries first. He puts Hamas first. He puts Hezbollah first. He puts the environmental maniacs first. And I'm all for the environment. Nobody is more for it than me. But they're trying to destroy our country. You know, China is now building a coal plant a week, and we're not building anything. We're not building anything. The windmills aren't working, the most expensive form of energy ever. Germany tried it. They wanted to go for windmills and solar. They would have been out of business in about 3 months. Can't fire up the big factories, can't do it. And you have clean, beautiful natural gas. You have clean coal. You have great things. We have more, by the way, we have more liquid gold under our feet, right? Mr. Congressman, great job you did. Great speech. Great speech, Michael. But they put everyone first except us. He puts America last, and he puts our workers last. He puts our safety last. We don't know. You know, the people coming into our country, many, many terrorists coming in. They just did this chart on one of the fake news stations. I couldn't believe it. This is real news. 2019, they showed that under Trump, there were no terrorists. We had all sorts of bans. We had bans on everything. We didn't like people. We didn't like countries. We didn't like what was happening in the country. We didn't let them in. But we had big bans, and we got approval through the Supreme Court of the United States. It was very controversial. But we never had a terrorist attack during the 4 years that I was president, and we won't again. We won't again. Won't happen. You know, I wanted to talk about that so badly during my term. I said, you know, it's 2.5 years, 3 years, 3.5 years. I wanted to talk about it, Michael. I wanted to say, we never had a terrorist, but I didn't want to. I was afraid what might happen the next day. But we got through 4 years without an attack, and they knew they can't attack. They can't attack when Trump is president. Not going to happen. Because as your president, I put America first every single time, every day, and every night. But before we can defeat crooked Joe Biden this November, we first turn, and we have to, the page forever on America Last. He actually says, we've got to stop MAGA. Do you ever see him? Like, how about the scene where he had like the devil's colors behind him, right? And he's up there. Now, fortunately, he was stuttering badly, and he just, and this is not from any problem other than the brain's not working too well. We got to put America, make America great again. Oh, is that what it means? Because he doesn't know. If you asked him, what does MAGA stand for? He would not be able to tell you. And I've called for cognitive tests. I actually think anybody running for president should have tests. I think, and I pass them every time. Dr. Ronnie Jackson gave me the first one. Anybody running for president. I don't think Nikki would pass the test, I really don't. But anybody running for president, regardless of age, I think they should pass the test. Vice president, certain positions, they say it's not constitutional. I'd be willing to waive it. Let's waive that. But I think they should. Haley is the candidate of globalists and warmongers who want to spend trillions and trillions of dollars on endless wars. She's always in favor of fighting wars. You know, during my term, we defeated ISIS. We knocked out the worst terrorists in the world. You know that. We took out the worst terrorists, the two of them. You know who they are. Took them out. Don't have to mention the names. Everyone knows who they are. Soleimani, you know that, right? Al-Baghdadi, you know, the founder of ISIS. We took him out. Soleimani, the head of, he was, I think, the Iranians actually, they were so afraid of this guy. He was a vicious guy. Father of the roadside bomb. All of the soldiers that some in this room, I saw some in this room, where they lost their legs, their arms, they got badly, so badly. But we took him out. And al-Baghdadi, the founder of ISIS, trying to rebuild it again. I wiped it out. I wiped him out. I wiped it out. We got him done. Conan, remember Conan the dog, right? Conan. We gave Conan a medal. Conan the dog. Conan was pretty warm. That was the last thing he heard was Conan running at him. But they're gone, and we defeated, and we didn't go into one war. I'm the first president in 76 years that didn't get into a war. First one. It's a big thing. It's easy to go into war. You know, we rebuilt the military. It's easy to go into war. We're going to go in and knock the hell out of somebody. We have the best equipment in the world because of me. I rebuilt the military. We had fighter jets that were 53 years old. And we have all brand new F-35s now, and we have the greatest military in the world. We really do. When I went after ISIS, I was told 4 years, and we took them out in just a matter of weeks. The whole thing gone, 100%. I remember we got it down to 98%. And I said, let's get out of here, because Iran doesn't want ISIS. They're enemies, natural enemies. Russia doesn't want. I said, let them finish off the final two. Let's get the hell out of there. I wanted to get out after 20 years of ridiculous spending of billions and trillions of dollars. And the fake news said, he didn't finish the job. It's 98%. I figured let them take out the two a little. So you know what I said? All right, fellas, go out, knock the hell out of them, and let's get the hell out. We finished 100%. We knocked out ISIS. General Raisin Cane, right? Raisin, you know who Raisin Cane is? General Raisin Cane was great. He did a great job. We got some great generals, not the guys you see on television that leave Afghanistan. Let's take the soldiers out first. Let's take the military out first. If I ask a child, there's a beautiful child sitting in the 10th row right there, about 11 years, 10 years old. If I ask that young man, what do you think we should do? Should we take the military out first or last? He would tell me, sir, last. What's wrong with you asking me a stupid question like that, sir? We took the military out first. We didn't take our equipment. We left $85 billion worth of equipment. We left the saddest. Look, we had 13 incredible soldiers. I've gotten to know their families. 13 military killed, violently killed, blown up. 38 people so horrifically hit, and nobody talks about them. Do you ever hear that? You probably never heard that from anybody else. Nobody talks about the 38 people so badly hit, legs gone, arms gone, faces just so sad. I visited many of them in Walter Reed. By the way, one of the greatest hospitals in the world. Those doctors are incredible. What they do is incredible. 5 years ago, they could have never lived, but it's incredible. 38 so badly hurt. And we left a lot of hostages. We left a lot of Americans there. We got out with the planes. Remember the planes? He said, it'll never be another Vietnam with the helicopters. This made Vietnam look like it was a picnic. It was terrible. People falling off the planes. Remember that scene of the planes leaving, and they had many people sitting on the wings of the planes and the wheels of the planes, and they were falling off at 3,000 feet. That's 3 times the height of the Empire State Building. They were falling off the planes. There was never a scene like that, and there's never been an embarrassment like that in the history of our country. We've never been so embarrassed, and that's why Putin, I believe, because I know Putin very well, very smart, very sharp. They hate when I say that, you know. They say, oh, you called him President Xi of China. I say, very smart man. They ask me, is he smart? I said, well, let's go a step above that. Let's say he's a brilliant guy. The press goes, he called President Xi brilliant. Well, here's a guy controls 1.4 billion people with an iron fist. Yeah, I'd say he's smart, but he respected this country. We didn't play games, and we took out billions, hundreds of billions of dollars out of China. No president has ever taken out 10 cents out of China. We took out hundreds of billions of dollars. So Nikki may have started her career in South Carolina, but she's now 100% the candidate of Wall Street and the war machine. She wants to go to war with everybody. She wants to kill people. Countries that don't want us there. Countries that don't want us there. We're all over the place. We took a lot of it out. They don't want us there. It costs us billions and billions and trillions of dollars. And I just put a truth out. Is everybody, I hope, on truth? It's the greatest. David, you're on truth? I just put it out. They want to give like almost $100 billion to a few countries. $100 billion. And I said, and I'm telling you this is breaking news. We have breaking news. I said, why do we do this? If you do, you give them not $100 billion. You give it to them as a loan. It's called a loan. Give them the money. And if they can pay it back, they pay it back. If they can't pay it back, they don't have to pay it back because, you know, they've got some problems. But if they go to another nation, they drop us like a dog, like a female drops a male after a date because he doesn't like her, right? If that happens to our country, then very simply, we call the loan and we say we want our money, because we give money and then they go to another side. As an example, let's say we give all this money. We were already into Ukraine for over $200 billion. And they could make a deal with Russia in the next 3 weeks, and all of a sudden they don't want to deal with us anymore. We've given hundreds of billions of dollars. And why are we at over $200 billion? And the European nations are, if you add them up, it's a very similar sized economy. They're at $25 billion. So we're at 200 plus, and it affects them much more. We have a thing called an ocean between us, right? It affects them much more. But we're at 200, they're at 250. I did the same thing with NATO. I got them to pay up. NATO was busted until I came along. I said, everybody's going to pay. They said, well, if we don't pay, are you still going to protect us? I said, absolutely not. They couldn't believe the answer. And everybody, you never saw more money pour in to Secretary General Stoltenberg. Well, I don't know if he is anymore, but he was my biggest fan. He said, all these presidents came in, they'd make a speech, they'd leave, and that was it. And they all owed money, and they wouldn't pay it. I came in, I made a speech, and I said, you got to pay up. They asked me that question. One of the presidents of a big country stood up and said, well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? I said, you didn't pay? You're delinquent? He said, yes, let's say that happened. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay. You got to pay your bills. And the money came flowing in. And Henry would know this. If I said, yes, I will, you don't have to pay. Yes, I will. Most politicians have said to that, yes, we will protect you under any circumstance. Well, then they're never paying up. I said, no, you have to understand, you don't pay your bills, you get no protection. It's very simple. Hundreds of billions of dollars came into NATO, and that's why they have money today, because of what I did. And then I hear that they like Obama better. They should like Obama better. You know why? Because he didn't ask for anything. We were like the stupid country of the world, and we're not going to be the stupid country of the world any longer. We're not going to be. Got bad under this guy. So he now wants to send them $50, $60 billion. I have to say one thing. I think the greatest salesman ever in history is Zelensky. And I like Zelensky because during the hoax of, the impeachment hoax, they said I made a threatening phone call to him. And when they asked him, he said, no, it wasn't threatening. It was a very nice call. He could have played to the bandwagon. He didn't do that. He told the truth. So I like Zelensky, but that war's got to end. We can make a deal on that war. One of the things we're going to do is we're going to get that war ended. That war is a disaster. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of people are being killed, far more than you're reading about. And you notice you don't hear about that war anymore. You know why? Because they're not doing well, that's why. Because the fake news is totally bought in, and now they're saying this is not working out. No, we got to get that war settled, and I'll get it settled. It would have never happened with Putin. It would have never happened. And by the way, it didn't happen for 4 years. It didn't happen. We'll get it settled. But we're fighting for the people of our country. We're going to stop that war. We're going to stop other wars that are happening. When you think of what took place in Israel just a short while ago, it would have never happened. Even the Democrats were on television the other day. Deface the Nation. Did you ever watch the show Deface? Ladies and gentlemen, it's Donald Trump on Deface the Nation. No, I think it was Deface the Nation. They're all sort of the same, all very radical and crazy. But they were saying that, now, one thing I will admit, if Trump were president, you wouldn't have had Israel attacked, you wouldn't have had Ukraine attacked, and you wouldn't have had inflation. Other than that, but we're going to drain the swamp. We started off, we fired Comey, that fraud. We got rid of that guy and got rid of a lot of others. And then we had COVID came in, and we had the greatest economy in history, even for 4 years. The greatest economy, but just prior to COVID, we had to fix that. Nobody knew what it was. I get great credit for economy. I get great credit for the military. I get great credit for foreign policy. Viktor Orban, did you ever hear of him? Prime Minister of Hungary. Great guy. He was interviewed recently, and they said, what's going on? The whole world is blowing up. He said, I have a simple solution. Let the United States of America elect quickly Donald Trump. It will all end very fast. You're not going to have any more problems. He said, you're not going to have any problems. He's one of the toughest guys, a smart guy, great guy, loves his country. But he said, and I don't use this term, but he used this term, China was afraid of Donald Trump. Russia was afraid. Remember when I stopped their pipeline, Nord Stream 2, I stopped it. I said, it's over. We're not going to do it. You're not going to have a pipeline going all through Europe. And I stopped it. And it was done. Then Biden came in, he approved it, like so crazy. We were going to be selling, because we were going to drill, baby, drill, and we were going to be selling oil and natural gas and everything else to Europe and all over the world. But these foolish people, these stupid, stupid people, what they've allowed to happen to our country. And the reason that we're all doing so well, and you're respected too. By the way, Make America, MAGA is very respected now. You see Jamie Dimon, the head of one of the great banks, one of the big banks, the other day he said, well, no, we have to respect MAGA. We have to respect. You better believe they have to respect MAGA. And MAGA, I think, is 90% of the Republican. They like to say, well, Trump has a solid 35% of... No. It's not 35. We have 90, 95. He's lifting off. That's their front row Joe. Stand up, Joe. Front row Joes. Look at these people. Whoa. Whoa. They might even have your record, North Carolina, okay? All these North Carolina women. But they come to a lot of events, and they're rich people, I think, right? You have plenty of cash. They got a lot of cash. They got to have a lot of cash. They follow me all over the place. Thank you. Thank you. No, they're great people, actually. But as president, I ended the NAFTA disaster, the worst trade deal ever made, and replaced it with a brand new USMCA. That's Mexico and Canada, who are ripping us off. I know they're our neighbors, but they were ripping us off. The best trade deal, they say, ever made in our country. I know it's good because they want to renegotiate the deal. And for years, we suffered with NAFTA. And everyone said, you'll never be able... You know how to get it knocked out in Congress, that one. That couldn't be executive order. And amazing. But it was a giant win for South Carolina and farmers, manufacturers. It was a tremendous win for Iowa. It was a tremendous win for Wisconsin. But it was a great win for you. I took on communist China like no administration in history, bringing in hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars, hundreds of billions. And I would say my relationship got to be a little bit sour. There are a lot of people think that COVID came because of that. They said, how do we get this guy out? Now what they're trying to do is use the Justice Department, the local DAs, and the Attorney Generals. But nothing's going to work. Look, we're doing a great job. We're doing a great job. If we do a great job and we have the people on our side, nothing they can do can hurt us. We're doing something that's never been done before. We're straightening out a mess. Then I gave out of China. I gave our farmers $28 billion right out of those tariffs that China was paying, right out of the tariffs from China. Manufacturers, too. Remember, the night I won the Iowa caucuses, the Chinese stock market took a tremendous nosedive. Some people would say a little bit of a mini crash. I won Iowa by the record that we talked about, and the market dropped. Then the next week I won New Hampshire. The market went way down. The China market, what does that tell you? That tells you that you don't have to say anything. And I'm not looking to hurt them, but they have to treat us fairly. We're not looking to hurt China. We'll have a good relationship with China, I hope. But they respected us. They didn't want those tariffs. You know, for the first year, they pretended like the tariffs didn't bother them. I made it 25%, then I made it 35%. And they kept saying, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We don't care about the tariffs. We're China. I said, I can't believe it. They don't care. It's a lot of money, but that's okay. Then I made it 45. Then I got a call from the top man, President Xi, who you have to respect, strong. Can you imagine him dealing with Biden? Biden walks in, he falls asleep. They say, get this guy out of here. He won't know. He won't know where he was. But I got a call from the top guy. He said, please stop the tariffs. You're killing us. I said, okay. But they're great negotiators. I mean, they are great much better than the people we have negotiating. We have these guys go over there begging. They're like beggars. But they knew that Crooked Joe and Nikki Haley are very good for China. They're China people. They're into China. Donald J. Trump is good for the United States of America. That's what I'm good for. By the way, did you see the picture? And we have, I have hardly used this crazy teleprompter today. It's terrible. We have enough time for this, right? Yes? Do we have enough time? Should we give you, David, should we give you Club for Growth? Club for Growth. David, stand up, please. He's now with us 100%. He's with us 100%. Thank you. Thank you. Good to have you, man. Now, did they show you the picture of Mitt Romney? He's like kryptonite. If you touch Mitt Romney, you go down. I had a certain senator, I won't say which one. I endorsed him. He took a 44-point lead. And then Mitt Romney got involved with him. And he started saying, here's the endorsement of Mitt Romney. That's a kill. He went from 44-point lead to a 10-point deficit. But I got involved because I knew it wasn't true. And he won his state. It was a great victory. I don't want to tell you the senator. A lot of people know. Could have been more than one senator. Mitt Romney is kryptonite. Mitt Romney is a friend of Nikki Haley. And you saw the screen. I think you saw the screenshot. And that was actually when she was with Barack Hussein Obama. Oh, do we have good work? This was not, exactly, this was not on the screen. Congratulations, people in the back. And Obama also. She actually dropped Romney for a little while for Obama. But this is where, one thing with a politician, Henry knows this better than anybody, when they come out with an idea, they change for elections. A certain person was running and he was totally against a certain agricultural product. All of a sudden, just before the election, he came out and he said, I love it, I love it, I love it. But you know that they're going back to where they came from, right, Henry? They always come back where they came from. Her policies are horrible. Her policies on Social Security, she wants to raise the age by 10 years, okay? No, now she'll deny it, but if she ever got it, she'll never get it. She's got like zero chance. Zero chance. But you know what? If she ever did, she would go back because they always go back to what they originally thought. But it's no wonder Joe Biden and his thugs are so desperate to stop us. They know that we are the only ones who can stop them. We're the only ones. That's why they are weaponizing law enforcement for the high-level purpose of election interference, which is illegal, what they're doing, too, by the way. They love to talk about democracy, but they're the ones who are weaponizing the DOJ, the FBI, our election systems, local DAs. I got DAs. If I fly over a Democrat state, if I fly over what's called the blue state in my plane, I get a subpoena the next day. Please report to a grand jury. Right, Vernon? I get a subpoena. I had more subpoenas than anybody probably in history. I think I had between Congress and every Democrat DA. I think I had more. I always say, I said, I got indicted more than Alphonse Capone. Do you ever hear of Alphonse? A very nice gentleman, Scarface. Al Capone, the greatest of them all, the greatest mobster of them all. Trump got indicted more. Can you imagine? And it all took place within a matter of minutes. It's election interference, election. I wonder what my great father and mother, they're up in heaven. Believe it or not, my father was a tough guy, but he would make heaven because he had a great heart. And my mother, there's no doubt about it. My father is questionable, but my mother, there's no doubt. But they're both up there. And they're looking up and they're looking. She's going to say, Mary, our son is indicted more than Al Capone. How the hell did this ever happen? And it all took place within moments. But they're coming after you in many ways. They're coming after you. I'm just, I'm just stopping them. I'm stopping them. I always will. Somebody asked me the other day, a very important, a very, very successful guy asked me, they see what we have to go through with these maniacs. They're lunatics, and they see what I go through. And I say, it doesn't bother me because I have such support. It really doesn't bother me, which probably tells you there's a little bit of a screw loose there, because a lot of people would be not able to function. But it actually makes me, it inspires me. They said, if you had it to do again, You had a great life. I had the greatest life. I had the most beautiful places. I had a beautiful life. I did tremendous, had a book. It became the biggest book. Many books, but had a book, one of the biggest books ever. A thing called The Art of the Deal. Had a television show, became the top show, The Apprentice. I didn't know anything about television. I didn't know anything about books. One of the greatest real estate developers, what I do best is build. I'm a great developer. That's what I did. I made a lot of money with it. You see that when you look at my statements, which are now public for everybody to see. I did great. But they say to me, you had a great life, had great homes, Mar-a-Lago, and many others like it. Then they say, if you had it to do again, would you do it? I never hesitate. I said, absolutely, I'd do it. I would have none of this happening because what I'm doing is necessary. And if I didn't do it, our country is gone. I believe our country would be gone. I really do. I really do. So in a sense, I'm doing it for you, but in a sense, I'm doing it for my family. I'm doing it for a lot of great people, but I don't even hesitate. They ask me two questions. First is that, would you do it again? And they're always surprised when I say, absolutely. You know, you got to go to, on Monday I have a court case, or Tuesday. It's okay. It's all right. You just say, I wish whatever state I'm supposed to be in well, and they can all see and they understand. They get the game. Look, normally when this happens, you go like that. You announce, here's what happens. You get indicted, you go to the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to announce my retirement from politics. I will be going home to spend more time with my family and to fight for my name. That's what happens. 99.9%, right? Henry wouldn't know because he's not even close. Okay, Henry would not know that, but that's what happens. You see, we've seen it many times, Henry, right? Politicians, they always announce they're going to fight for their name and they're going to go back home to their family, which they should have been home there a long time ago, right? That's what they do with me. They indict me. I explain what it's about. Total bullshit, all cases, right? And my poll numbers go up. My poll numbers go up. How do you figure that? But Joe Biden and the fascists that control him are a true threat to democracy. You know, he's controlled by fascists and bad people. All of this persecution is only happening because we're leading so big in the polls. If I wasn't running right now, or if I was in fifth place, or if I was like Haley, like 70 points down, I wouldn't be under indictment. I wouldn't have any problems right now. In the latest Morning Consult poll, highly respected, we're at 80% in the Republican primary, and we're dominating Crooked Joe in the general election by numbers that nobody's ever seen before. In fact, our lead against Biden is the largest it has ever been. 6, 7, 8, 9. We have one at 11 points, which is hard. I have a friend that called me. He's not into politics. He said, could I ask you a question? How come you're only leading Biden by 8 points? I said, because if I ran this speech that I'm supposed to be using, but I decided not to. You know why? Because I feel at home with South Carolina. I'm at home. I'm at home. No, if I ran this book, if I ran that book, you start off with 39 points if you're a Democrat. I actually told my children, they're great. I have great children, smart children. They worked hard, very hard. I said, I don't want to get in your way, but it's a lot easier and a lot safer to be a Democrat. It's true. If I ran that book, nothing else, just the book, has no life, no nothing, you get 39 points. That's why it amazes me. In other words, a Democrat, between the unions, the civil service, and a few other groups, I won't mention them, but you get 39 points, right? So no matter who you are, this microphone would get 39 points. We start off with nothing. We start off with nothing. We don't have that. We have to run the whole East Coast like I did twice. I did better the second time. But we have to run the East Coast. Then we have to take the Midwest. Then we have to do all sorts of things. I'll never forget that incredible 2016, though, when everyone said, well, he has no chance. Remember, they gave me a 2% chance, right? Remember the poll, the number? Some genius sold his whole company to the New York Times. They paid him millions of dollars because he gave me a 2% chance. And then as you win states, you go from 2% to 4% to 10% to 14%. So I start off at 2% the evening of the evening, that fatal for the enemy, totally fatal for the enemy. So I started off at 2%, and then it comes out, Donald Trump has won the state of Florida. Oh, that's nice. So now I go from 2% chance to an 8% chance. Then we win Georgia, we win North Carolina, we win South Carolina. We win, ultimately, Pennsylvania. We ran the whole East Coast. And you remember that lunatic with the glasses? She had a lot of hair, the glasses, and she was screaming. She's become a famous woman. So we go from 2% to 6% to 12% to 14%. Now they're starting to get a little bit nervous. And then they said, well, North Carolina is a firewall. Donald Trump has won the state of North Carolina. They said that. And we won North Carolina. Don't worry, South Carolina, we won that one easy. But they had North Carolina, your neighbor. North Carolina is a firewall. He won't be able to get through North Carolina. We won that one. And now they're starting to get worried. So now we're at a 30% chance. Then we won a couple of others. Then we won Wisconsin. That was a big one. And now we're at 40% chance. So we went from 2 to 40. And these people are going crazy. It was one of the most incredible evenings in history. They wouldn't call Pennsylvania, even though I was leading by so much with so many votes in that if I would have gotten no more votes, I would have won. I said, why aren't they calling it? They were probably trying to build up the ballot count because they thought, but ultimately it wasn't necessary. But then ultimately, late at night, I won the great state, or the great, look, Pennsylvania was a very special place. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Never call it a state. I'm glad I corrected myself. You know, if you don't correct these people, they have a field day. Even when you do correct, they'll put it in, oh, did he say state? They don't have the correction. I never correct because I hate to admit I'm wrong. It's the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, David. So we win the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, great Commonwealth, where I went to school. And a lot of things happened. And that was one of the most exciting evenings anyone's ever had. We had a great time. The radical left Democrats want Nikki Haley because they know that she's easy to beat. She's very easy to beat. Haley supports a 23% national sales tax, and she wants to gut Medicare and Social Security and raise the retirement age of Social Security by 10 years. Anybody getting ready for the Social Security? Would you mind? So you're ready for next year. In 6 months, darling, in 6 months, I'm getting my Social Security. I've waited for years for this. Oh, Nikki Haley just added 10 more years. That's not going to have much of an impact, right? She just added 10 years. But she gave land away in your state. She gave land away, as you know, to China. But most importantly, I'm beating Biden in almost every poll, and she's not beating Biden. She's misrepresenting a lot of things. And on the amnesty bill, she sided with crooked Joe Biden, and I sided with the people of the United States of America. A little different. The radical left Democrats rigged the presidential election of 2020, and we're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election of 2024. We're not going to allow it. Not going to allow it. And every time the radical left Democrats, Marxists, communists, and fascists indict me, I consider it a great badge of honor. I consider it a great badge. These are very bad people. These are very crooked people. Because I'm being indicted for you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Never forget, our enemies want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. I never will let that happen. And in the end, they're not after me. They're after you. I just happen to be standing in the way, and I always will. So we're delighted to be joined today by a gentleman. I'd give him big place, so I don't have to do too much. But we're really happy to have so many incredible political people that love your state and love our country. Governor Henry McMaster is here. Henry, thank you. And our First Lady, Peggy, thank you, Peggy. Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evett is here. Thank you, Pamela. Great job. Great job. We have many members of Congress: Russell Fry, Nancy Mace, William Timmons, Joe Wilson, Mike Waltz, who you heard before, Horry County GOP Chairman Reese Boyd, done a great job. Thank you, Reese. And our 2020 Horry County Captain, Jerry McDaniel. I see Jerry back there someplace. Hi, Jerry. A man who did a fantastic job as ambassador. He really, one of the best. He really brought a lot of people together. Ambassador Ed McMullen. Thank you. A very good person, Pastor Mark Burns. Mark, stand up, thanks. Wherever you may be. A fantastic woman, a true patriot, Laura Loomer. Laura, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Laura. A man who's on our side, he's committed to us, and he really does get it, and politically he's as savvy as anybody there is, David McIntosh. David, thank you very much. And the next congressman from North Carolina's 6th District. I have to go to this one because he's a friend of my son, Don. And my son says he's such an incredible guy. He suffered a terrible tragedy. His brother very recently died from an overdose of fentanyl. Unknowing, and it's been devastating to him. But the 6th District, North Carolina, Addison McDowell, he's here someplace. Addison, thank you. Thank you. We're with you. He has my complete and total endorsement, okay? So go get him. Go get him. And your brother's looking down, and he's very proud of you right now. So thank you very much. From the very first day that we take back the White House from crooked Joe Biden, I believe, and I believe this strongly, we're going to have the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. And frankly, we have to. We have to. We have no choice because we're so far behind. We had the greatest economy in history, and now we have what's gone on. I mean, the inflation, what it's done to people, it's devastated people, 35, 40, 50%, if you think, for basic staples. We appointed over 300 federal judges and 3 great Supreme Court justices. That was a big thing. We fully rebuilt the United States military and created Space Force, the first time since Air Force 78 years ago, right, Mr. Congressman? And you helped us, Mike. You helped us, Mike. That was a good speech you made, Mike. I was very proud of you. I didn't know his wife had more time than you, though, and that's pretty impressive. Stand up, please. She had more time. She's great. That's very good. We passed a thing called Right to Try. You know what that is? That was a big deal. They've been trying to do it for 70 years. It's not as easy as it sounds, but this is where we have the greatest doctors and lab technicians and labs in the world for medical purposes and for other purposes, too. And we have drugs and space-age things and bio that nobody in the world has. But we're not allowed to use them because the FDA said they may be dangerous. I said, wait a minute, may be dangerous. People are terminally ill. They're not going to be dangerous. These people have to take them. And I was able to work a deal and get it passed. Oh, thank you. Wow, that's good. We've saved thousands of lives. Thank you very much. You're okay now. Wow. And I never met that woman in my life. I know what happens. They'll say, she was a shill. They put her in. That's great. That's great. Many, many people, thousands and thousands of people have been saved. And we gave them the right to try. We gave them the right. They were going to Asia. They were going to Europe. They were going all over the world. And if they had no money, they were just going home and dying. Most of them had no money. They go home and die. But we gave them a license. And it was very tough because the doctors didn't want it, because they didn't want it on the records. The drug companies hated the idea because they didn't want to take somebody that was very severely ill, terminally ill, and if the drug doesn't work, they're going to have to report it. So we made the insurance companies hated it, and the country hated it because the country ends up being sued all the time. So they have to sign what's called a release. And we released the country from liability. They released the drug companies from liability. And the drug companies didn't have to report when somebody is that ill. They had a separate list. And this was such a success, Right to Try. And thousands of people are living now who would be dead. And some are living without a problem, where they're literally healthy people. They don't even have to go back. I'm so proud of you. That's so great. Wow, that's really nice. Thank you very much. That is so nice that you do that. Thank you very much. And for our great veterans, we passed VA accountability and VA choice. Now, accountability is we fired 9,000 people from the Veterans Administration, the hospitals. They were sadists. They were thieves. They would beat up our soldiers when our soldiers weren't in prime time. They couldn't have done it in prime time. They would have gotten their ass kicked. But they did. They were sadists. They were actually, who would think this? And you couldn't, because of civil service laws, you couldn't do anything about it. They would steal. In Arizona, we had somebody stole $400,000 and they couldn't fire the person. They caught them stealing $400,000 and you couldn't fire them because of the laws. Well, we got accountability done, and we got something that was even better. VA choice. We had choice. If you couldn't see your doctor within 24 hours, you go to a private doctor outside, we pay the bill. We saved thousands of lives, thousands and thousands of lives. And we had the most, thank you. No, it was so great. You know, it's interesting, when I did that, I came up with that idea at a meeting. I had a meeting with a lot of generals, and they were saying how bad it was in the Veterans Administration because people would have to wait 3, 4, 5 months to see a doctor. You're pointing, right? 3, 4, 5 months. Sometimes they'd never get to see a doctor. And I said, I have an idea. If you don't see a doctor within the first few days, you go out and you get a private doctor. I thought I was so brilliant. I said, this is a great idea. They've had that idea for 50 years. They couldn't get it passed, right, Mike? They couldn't get it passed. But we got it passed with the help of those people right there and plenty of others. Russell helped in a little bit later stage. Russell is so great. But we got it passed, and now they are seeing the doctor if they don't have, and sometimes, you know, the doctors are great, but they're just loaded. And what happens is we send those people out, we pay them, we have deals worked out with many doctors all over, and they come back, and we're saving thousands of lives by doing that. I mean, some people go in, they're not very sick, and after waiting for 4 or 5 months without seeing a doctor, they become terminally ill for something that could have been done with a simple procedure, even a simple pill. They become terminally ill waiting. That's happened many, many times, thousands of times. And I'm very proud of Right to Try, because everyone said you couldn't get it approved. It would almost be impossible. I had to go through Congress, so we appreciate the congressman, and David, your help too. We appreciate the people in the room. A lot of these people worked very hard on that one, especially. And we had the most secure border in the history of our country. 3 years ago, we had the most secure border in the history of our country. We ended catch and release in our country. We had catch and release, but it was in Mexico. We released them in Mexico. We built tremendous hundreds of miles of the wall. We got Mexico to give us, free of charge, 28,000 soldiers right on our border. And we created the strongest border that we've ever had. We got rid of so many things. And for medical reasons, if you were sick, you couldn't come into our country. You know all about that. We had a lot of things. They've given it all up. Now we have people that are not only, in many cases, from prisons and jails and from mental institutions. We have people pouring into our country that are very ill, and diseases that can be passed on to others. And they're coming in by the thousands and tens of thousands. And if you want, I said to my people, should I do it? And they said, well, you could ask, would you like to hear the snake? Does anybody know? You know the snake, right? Should we do the snake? Does everybody have time? It's not too long. So this is a little takeoff on a very successful song from many, many years ago. And it was redone a little bit to make it more pertinent. But I think it is, because we have people coming into our country who shouldn't be here. We have people coming into our country who are going to cause tremendous problems, 100% certain that there'll be terrorist attacks in the not-too-distant future, 100%. That's a pretty big statement. So we did this, we wrote it, and people really understand it. It's very understandable and beautiful and tragic, both at the same time. On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake. Her pretty colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. "Poor thing," she said, "I'll take you in, and I'll take care of you. Take me in, O tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman," cried the vicious snake. She wrapped him up all cozy in a comforter of silk and laid him by the fireside with some honey and some milk. She turned away from him and looked him in the eye. She said she finally had arrived, and now she could be happy taking care of this magnificent creature. "Take me in, O tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman," cried the vicious snake. She clutched him to her bosom. "You're so beautiful," she cried, "but if I hadn't brought you in by now, you surely would have died." She stroked his pretty skin again and kissed him and held him tight. But instead of saying, "Thank you, ma'am," the snake gave her a vicious bite. "Take me in, O tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman," cried the vicious snake. "I saved you," cried the woman, "and you've bitten me, but why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die." "Shut up, silly woman," said the reptile with a grin. "You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in." That's what's happening on our border. We're allowing people to pour in. We're allowing people to pour into our country. They shouldn't be allowed to pour into our country. They're going to cause tremendous problems. And again, mental institutions, they're coming in from everywhere. And it's a very sad thing. This is not going to turn out well. And the biggest problem I have, even with the election, is 10 months is a long time. 10 months is a long time. These people have done such damage to our country. I would oftentimes say in speeches that if you took the 5 worst presidents, I then changed it to the 10 worst presidents. If you took the 10 worst presidents in the history of our country and added them together, they wouldn't have done the damage that Biden has done to our country. It's true. It's true. This border problem is a big problem. This is big stuff. On day one, I will terminate every open border policy of the Biden administration, and we will begin the largest domestic deportation operation in American history. We have no choice. We have no choice. We don't want to do that. We have no choice. Dwight Eisenhower, President Eisenhower, was actually a pretty tough guy, tougher than people think. And he did it years ago. We will restore law and order. I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical, out-of-control prosecutor in America for their illegal, racist, and reverse enforcement of the law. I'm also going to indemnify all police officers and law enforcement officials throughout the United States to protect them from being destroyed by the radical left for taking strong actions on crime. We're going to rebuild our cities into beacons of hope. Our cities are falling apart, run in all cases by Democrats. The crime in our cities, they go in and take away department stores, hundreds of people walking in, thugs, walking out with television sets, walking out with everything. And we're gonna take care of that very quickly. We're gonna take care of it. We're gonna take care of it. We will take over the horribly run capital of our nation in Washington, D.C., and clean up, renovate, and rebuild our capital so that it is no longer a nightmare of murder and crime. People killed. Every week, people are killed walking into what? They come from Nebraska. They come from South Carolina. They come from places all over the country. They go to see our beautiful Washington, D.C., and they end up with a bullet in their head. We're not going to have it. I lost a great gentleman who worked in the administration last week. You probably heard. It was a car hijacking. They didn't just hijack the car. They looked at him and they shot him, and then they took the car. These people are people we're going to deal with very tough. We're going to deal with them very tough. We're not going to be protecting the criminal. We're going to protect the people that the criminals are killing. They're killing people in our country. And we're going to have a capital that you're going to be proud of. And unlike Nikki Haley, I will always defend Medicare and Social Security for our seniors, always. Always. On day one, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content onto the lives of our children. And I will not give one penny to any school that has a vaccine mandate or a mask mandate. And I can't even believe I have to say it, but I do have to say it because I guess I'm a politician. I guess. I don't feel like a politician. I will keep men out of women's sports. 100%. And I will fully uphold the Second Amendment, our very under siege. We will protect innocent life and will restore free speech into our country. We don't have free speech. We don't have a fair press, and we don't have free speech. And I will secure our elections. One of the most important things. Remember, to have a great country, you have to have strong borders and free elections. We have neither. We have neither. Our goal will be one-day voting with paper ballots, voter ID. One-day voting. By the way, the paper ballots cost 9% the cost of what you're doing right now. And they're faster and they're far more secure. So if you want to save America, vote for Trump. Get out and vote. Vote Republican. The primary is Saturday, February 24th. Early in-person voting begins this Monday and ends on February 22nd. It's closed Sunday. Remember that. The 18th and Monday, the 19th for President's Day. But go out and get a little bit early. Nikki is pushing Democrats to vote. She wants Democrats because she's not getting the Republicans. They don't. And the Democrats aren't going to do that. She did the same thing in New Hampshire. They allowed Democrats to vote in the Republican primary. Do you ever hear that one? Well, hate to say you have a little bit of that too, but not as severe. But she's pressing the Democrats. Details are sc.donaldjtrump.com. So in conclusion, together we are taking on some of the most menacing forces and vicious opponents our people have ever seen. We've never seen anything like what's happening in our country. And the danger from within is far greater, in my opinion, than the danger on the outside of our country. That's danger, but this is serious danger. The fascists, the communists, the serious socialists. We don't even talk about socialism. I mean, remember I said, we will never have a socialist country. I was right. We skipped over socialism. We went right down to communism. It's horrible what's happening. But no matter how hateful and corrupt the communists and criminals we are fighting against may be, you must never forget this nation does not belong to them. This nation belongs to you. This is your home. This is your heritage. And our American liberty is your God-given right. From Columbia to Conway, from Greenville to Garden City, and from Foley Beach to Myrtle Beach, We stand on the shoulders of South Carolina heroes who crossed the oceans, settled the continent, tamed the wilderness, laid down the railroads, raised up those big, beautiful skyscrapers. I did that. Won 2 world wars, defeated fascism and communism, and made America the single greatest nation in the world. But now, we are a nation in decline. We are a failing nation. We are a nation that has the highest inflation in 50 years, where banks are collapsing and interest rates are skyrocketing. Likewise, we are a nation where energy costs have reached the highest levels in our history, where we are no longer energy independent or energy dominant as we were just a few short years ago. We are a nation that is begging Venezuela and others for oil. Please, please, please help us, Joe Biden says. Yet we have more liquid gold under our feet than any other country anywhere in the world. We are a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will be reducing their oil production while at the same time substantially increasing the price. And we met that threat by announcing that we will no longer be drilling for oil in large areas of Alaska or elsewhere on our land. We are a nation that is considered by the radical left's Green New Deal. Yet everyone knows that the Green New Deal is fake. It is the Green New Scam. It's the Green New Scam. And it will lead to our destruction. We are a nation whose leaders are demanding all electric cars, despite the fact that they don't go far, they cost too much, and whose batteries are produced in China with materials only available in China, when an unlimited amount of gasoline is available inexpensively in the United States, but not available in China. And now we are a nation that wants to make our revered and very powerful, magnificent army tanks, considered the best in the world, all electric, so that despite the fact that they are also not able to go far, fewer pollutants will be released into the air as we blast our way through enemy territory in an environmentally friendly way. And they also want to make our fighter jets with a green stamp of energy savings, though losing 15% efficiency, but allowing us to keep our enemy's atmosphere clean of emissions as we viciously and unceremoniously attack them at levels they've never seen before. Who are these people that would do this to us? Who are these people who would ruin our country? We are a nation that ended oil exploration and production in the United States of America just as the price of oil reached an all-time high. What other country would do such a foolish and self-destructive thing? We can be energy independent, and we can even be energy dominant. And yes, quickly says that President Trump is saying you will be energy dominant very soon. We are a nation that surrendered in Afghanistan, leaving dead soldiers, American citizens, and $85 billion worth of the finest military equipment anywhere in the world, and also abandoning Bagram, one of the biggest military bases anywhere in the world, and only 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. And we are a nation that allowed Russia and Ukraine to fight, killing hundreds of thousands of people, and it will only get worse. It would never have happened with me as your president. And for 4 straight years, it didn't happen. Likewise, the horrifying attack on Israel would never have happened. They wouldn't even have thought of doing such a horrible thing if President Trump was in the Oval Office. Iran was broke under Trump and the Trump administration. They didn't have the money to fund Hamas and Hezbollah and all of the other instruments of terror. They had no money at all. But those sanctions were lifted by the corrupt Biden administration. And now Iran is a rich country with $200 billion and another $6 billion for hostages. Think of it, $6 billion for 5 hostages and $10 billion for electricity for Iraq. All compliments of the incompetent Biden administration. And China, with Taiwan, is watching, and they're next. We're a nation that allows radical left terrorists to violently attack our cities, leaving behind massive destruction and death, and nothing happens to the criminals that do these terrible, terrible things. There is no punishment, but when people who love our country protest on January 6th in Washington, D.C., they become hostages for many years, unfairly imprisoned for long periods of time. We are a third world nation that has weaponized its law enforcement against the opposing political party like never before. Nothing like this has ever happened in our nation. We've got a Federal Bureau of Investigation that won't allow bad election-changing facts to be presented to the public, and which offers $1 million to a writer of fiction about Donald Trump to lie and say it was fact, where Hunter Biden's laptop from hell was Russian disinformation. And the FBI knew it wasn't, but 51 intelligence agents said it was, and the Department of Justice that refuses to investigate egregious acts of voting irregularities and fraud. And we have a man who is totally corrupt and the worst president in the history of our country, who is cognitively impaired, in no condition to lead, and is now in charge of dealing with Russia and possible nuclear war, which would be World War III and far more devastating than any of the previous world wars because of the power of weaponry like no one has ever seen before. We are a nation that no longer has a free and fair press. Fake news is all you get, and they are indeed the enemy of the people. They refuse to discuss the Biden crime family, but enjoy covering false indictments of Donald J. Trump, who has done nothing wrong except win an election that they didn't think could be won. We are a nation where free speech is no longer allowed, and where crime is rampant and out of control like never, ever before. We are a nation that is allowing Iran to build a massive nuclear weapon and China to use the trillions and trillions of dollars it has taken from us to build a military to rival our own. And less than 3 years ago, we had Iran, China, Russia, and North Korea in check. They respected us. They were afraid of us. They weren't going to do a thing against us, and everyone knows it. Now Russia and China are holding summits to carve up the world. And perhaps most importantly, we are a nation that is no longer admired, respected, or listened to on the world stage. We are a nation that in many ways has become a joke. We are a nation that is hostile to liberty, freedom, faith, and even God. We are a nation whose economy is collapsing into a cesspool of ruin, whose supply chain is broken, whose stores are not stocked, whose deliveries are not coming, and whose educational system is ranked at the very bottom of every single list. We are a nation that just sold a once great company, United States Steel, to Japan, We are a nation whose stock market's continued success is contingent on MAGA winning the next election. If we don't win the next election, the stock market will crash, just like it did in 1929. We are a nation where large packs of sadistic criminals and thieves are allowed to go openly into stores, beat them, kill their workers, destroy their customers, leave with armloads of goods, but with no retribution whatsoever, where the authority of our great police has been taken, where their families and pensions have been threatened, and their lives would be destroyed for the mere mentions of the words law enforcement. We are a nation where fentanyl and all other forms of illegal drugs are easier to get than groceries to feed our beautiful families. We have become a drug-infested, crime-ridden nation, which is incapable of solving even the simplest of problems. We will institute the powerful death penalty for drug dealers, where each dealer is responsible for the death during their lives of 500 people. Mothers will never again be forced to watch their children overdosing and hopelessly dying in their arms, screaming, "What can I do? What can I do? Save my baby, what can I do?" We are a nation whose once revered airports are dirty. They're a crowded mess. You sit and wait for hours and then are notified that the plane won't leave. They have no idea when they will. Where ticket prices have tripled, they don't have the pilots to fly the planes. They don't have qualified air traffic controllers. And they just don't know what the hell they are doing. We are a nation that screens its citizens viciously at all ports. But if you are an illegal alien, you're allowed to flow through our borders by the millions and millions and millions, no matter where you came from, including prisons and mental institutions. We are a nation that has lost its confidence, its willpower, and has lost its strength. We are a nation that has lost its way, but we are not going to allow this horror to continue. 3 years ago, we were a great nation, and we will soon be a great nation again. It was hard-working patriots like you who built this country, and it is hard-working patriots like you who are going to save our country. We will fight for America like no one has ever fought before. 2024 is our final battle. With you at my side, we will demolish the deep state. We will expel the warmongers from our government. We will drive out the globalists. We will cast out the communists, Marxists, and fascists. And we will throw off the sick political class that hates our country. We will rout the fake news media. We will drain the swamp. We will liberate our country from these tyrants and villains. Once and for all, we will be liberated. We will be free. Like those patriots before us, we will not bend. We will not break. We will not yield. We will never give in. We will never give up. We will never, ever back down. With your support, we will go on to victory, the likes of which no one has ever seen before. We will evict crooked Joe Biden from the White House, and we will take back our country on November 5th, 2024. The great silent majority is rising like never before, and under our leadership, the forgotten man and woman will be forgotten no longer. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. And together, we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. South Carolina. Thank you. God bless you all. God bless you. Get out and vote. Get out and vote. Thank you.
Young man, there's no need to feel down. I said,